We're now going to look at how we can get more access to more real estate by using the report headers single line option in EiB Analytics. So this is where we're talking about having a report where you perhaps have lots of criteria at the top and you want to recover more real estate, because obviously each dimension in the criteria takes up a single line in Excel, and if you have 10 or 15 of those, plus if you're running the report in normal mode, i.e. not full screen, then you can start your report often about half the way down the screen. So if we just go over and look at one of the standard reports we provide in financial analytics, this is the profit and loss report. You can see it's not too bad here, but actually we are consuming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So our sales information starts here about, I guess, about a quarter of the way down the screen. If I just press escape below and run this in non-full screen mode, you can see what I mean even on this simple report, that sales, or UK sales, the first line with data, is approximately literally halfway down the screen. So for whatever reasons, we've lost, with the combination of the Excel ribbon and our dimensions, about half a screen of data. And there's a couple of new options. If I look at the EiB cube ribbon here, and I look under report settings on the changes drop down here, then you'll see that the default criteria is the same as you have them now. So standard criteria is the default, and that's exactly the way it is in a la carte 2.15 and earlier versions. But what I can do in 2.18 is I can change the criteria style to collapsed, and you'll see if I actually apply that, then now those 5 lines have become 1, and now I've got the journal amount, the consolidated amount, the cost center, department and time, all available on one line. Now there are some slight differences as a result of that in terms of the way you access the data. If I double click on that, by default it will obviously only just show me the first element there. So I would double click on that line and I get the ability to change journal amount here to currency amount or report amount. I can change these other items like company, cost center and dimension, but I do need to use a drop down here and change the company to say company 1, click on OK, and that will then give me the results for company 1. So whilst it saves real estate, I don't think it's quite as nice a way as selecting the information, but certainly some of my colleagues and customers think it's an easier way of selecting the information, or a more consistent way of selecting the information. Now I appreciate also that the layout of this is perhaps by default not lovely in terms of you've just got one dimension, comma, next dimension. You can make that a lot nicer. You can actually, if I just go back in to the changes and the report settings here, you'll see we've got it set to collapsed, but in terms of the criteria display, I can change that. If I get rid of the hash all there and actually pick the dimensions I want, so I want companies, I want cost center, I want department, and I want calendar. Now by default that would probably pretty much return exactly what I had before, but I can intersperse this with text and spacing. So I could, for example, put in here company colon, and then I've got hash companies, and then here I could perhaps have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, cost center colon, and then after there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, department colon, and after department I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, time. And now if I click on OK, you can see that's perhaps a nicer way to lay things out. And now obviously I get exactly the same now. I think what I would do here, I'd probably put an extra space in between the dimension name and the element, and we'll do that in a minute. Another way is to actually replace the header with the criteria, so then I'd actually get even more real estate here. So if I just go back to changes and report settings, and now instead of choosing collapsed, I'm going to do show as report title, and I think I will change this. I think I'm going to put 2 spaces in between the dimension name and the dimension itself, and I'm going to try and spell department correctly here. Department 1 2, and I'm going to go across and do 2 between the time 1 2 as well. And now when I click on OK, you'll see now actually the report header is now completely changed, and now it's actually in the report header. So that gives me maximum real estate. You can see particularly if I now go into full screen mode now, I've got a hell of a lot more real estate that I've got available to me, and this now in the report header is available in exactly the same way. So I could now go and pick a cost center, and that would now refresh the report for the cost center. So quite a nice touch. Some of our customers have used this with things like the report distribution module. That obviously then allows you, if you're sending out static content to some of your users, again for them to see a lot more content higher up the page. But nice touch.